Hello, everybody. So we have this lesson and one more lesson to complete our unit. So we're getting down there. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is the fact that you can find the solution to these systems in three different ways. You can graph them and find the point where they cross. You can use substitution, which we talked about before, or you can use elimination. And elimination is used most of the time, especially with word problems. Now, I do have to apologize. I forgot to write in the steps for you, so we actually have to take a little bit of notes here. So the steps for elimination, I'm just going to add a text box. It's easier than trying to write this. We first need to line up all the like terms in the same order. So line, and I'll show you what this looks like after. Line up all like terms in order. So if we scroll down and take a look, see how it says X, Y, and then the number, X, Y, and then the number. That's in order. Y, X number, Y, X number. That's fine. It doesn't matter if the X comes first or the Y. As long as your X's and Y's are on the left and your constant or your number that doesn't have a variable is on the right side of the equation. All right, so that's the first thing that we'll check. And all of these are in order. It's the word problems where they may not be. Okay. The next thing that we want to do is we're going to multiply, and it's going to seem weird at first, but this works every time, so we'll get into the habit here. We're going to multiply the top equation, by the lead coefficient of the bottom equation. And we're going to do this by distributing. So let me say that again. We're going to multiply the top equation by the lead coefficient of the bottom equation. That's just the starting number of the bottom equation. You could even make a note of that. That's all the lead coefficient is. All right, so why don't we try that? Let's go down and start these first steps. So our first step is we lined up our like terms. We're fine there. Our next step, bear with me because I'm going back and forth between the mouse and this. Okay, so we're going to multiply the top equation, the whole thing, by the lead coefficient of the bottom equation. All right. So 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times negative 4y is negative 8y. And 2 times 10 is 20. Just keep your equal sign. All right. And the whole point in doing this, we're making it so we can eliminate one variable. With substitution, we did that by substituting in, and we could eliminate. Well, here's going to look a little different. We're going to create opposites, so when you add your equations together, one of them will cancel. Okay, so now we're going to do something similar in the bottom. We're going to multiply the bottom equation by the opposite of the lead coefficient. It'd help if I could spell here. Of the top. And remember, that's just fancy for the beginning number, the starting number. And we're also going to distribute that. So we multiply the top equation by the by the starting number of the bottom, and we multiply the bottom equation by the opposite of the lead coefficient of the top. Now, let's go ahead and do that. So the lead coefficient of the top, the beginning variable for the top equation, is 3. What's the opposite of 3? -3. So when I distribute that through, -3 times 2x is -6x. -3 times 8y is -24y. And -3 times -4 becomes +12. All right, so the whole point in doing that is now we've created opposites. 6x, when I go to add these two equations together, 6x minus 6x will cancel. The x's will be eliminated. All right, that's why this method is called elimination. It's also sometimes called addition. So I'll make a note of that up here. All right, so elimination is sometimes called addition because we're going to add the two equations together. All right, let's add in just a few more notes here, a few more steps. So now we're going to add like terms, basically in the columns. All right. And when you do, the first variable will cancel. Then we're going to have basically a small, simple equation to solve. So solve for the remaining variable. And then our last step is going to be exactly as it was yesterday, or in our last lesson. Now let's change up the color here. I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? But we're going to plug in the value to find the other variable. Remember, it's easiest to pick or use the easier or easiest equation. You might be going, what is she even talking about? But let's talk about it. So let's go back to our steps. So we multiply, everything's lined up. You multiply the top by the lead coefficient in the bottom, which was 2. We multiplied the bottom by the opposite of the lead coefficient. Opposite of 3 is -3. And we distributed through everything. So now all that's left is to add our two equations together and combine your like terms. So we have 6x plus -6x cancels. -8 plus -24. If you're not sure, you can use your calculator, but you get -32y. Okay, you can close anytime now. Equals 20 plus 12, 32. So now you just have this basic equation that you're going to solve for. So solve for the remaining variable, solve for y. The only thing you have to do is divide by -32. And that's the nice thing about elimination. This is how it is every single time. All you're left with is to divide. Now remember, a system of equations, when you're graphing them, it's 2 lines. You're looking for the point where they cross, and it's always an xy. Well, we found the y, we need to find the x. So grab one of the top equations. It doesn't matter which one. They both look to be, about the same. So why don't we go with the bottom one? So 2x plus 8y equals -4. Well, we just found that y is -1, so I can do 2x plus 8 times -1 equals -4 and solve to find our other variable. So 2x minus 8 equals -4. Add 8 to both sides. 2x equals 4. Divide by 2. X equals 2. So there's your point. It would be the point 2, -1. If you took the time to solve and graph those, that's the point you'd see. All right, same thing here. Is everything lined up? Y's and Y's, X's and X's, numbers by themselves. Okay, so we're going to multiply the top equation by the lead coefficient of the bottom. Multiply the bottom equation by the lead coefficient of the top. The opposite of it, well, it's a 1, so the opposite would be a -1. There's other ways that you can do this as well, but this method works every time. Basically, you're just altering the equation so that you've created opposites. All right, so the top, let's multiply through. 10 times 1y is 10y. 10 times 3x is 30x. 10 times -2 is -20. In the bottom, -1 times anything is just going to change all the signs. So -10y. -1 times -15 is +15x. And -1 times 70 is -70. Don't forget to multiply on the other side. Okay, so we're going to now add those two together, and when we do, the y's are eliminated. So you're just left with 45x equals -90. Divide by 45. X equals -2. And then again, when you want to figure out what y is, pick one of the top equations. The top equation looks to be the easiest, so I'll use that one this time. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I like to pick the easiest one because it'll be less work for us in the end. All right, so now that we know that x is -2, I'm going to do y plus 3 times -2 equals -2. All right, this would give us -6, so y minus 6 equals -2. Add 6. Y equals 4. So again, if we were to graph this, those two lines would intersect at the point -2, 4. X, then y. All right. And that's the same steps each time. So let's do another one. So the lead coefficient of this one's 1. We're going to multiply the top equation by the lead coefficient of the bottom, -3. All right, so we have -3x. -3 times 2y is -6y. -3 times 11, -33. We're going to multiply the bottom equation by the opposite of the top. Opposite of 1 is -1. So again, all that's going to happen, sign's going to change. So we have +3x, -y, or -1y, and -1 times -5 is +5. Go ahead and add those two equations together, and when we do, -3x and 3x, x's are eliminated. So we have -7y equals -28. Divide both sides by -7. Y equals +4. And then pick one of the equations to substitute in. I'm going to choose the top one. X plus 2y equals 11. Well, we just said y is 4, so x plus 2 times 4 equals 11. And just solve now. X plus 8 equals 11. Subtract 8. X equals 3. So again, if we were to graph those two lines, solve and graph, they would cross at the point 3, 4. All right, let's look at one more example, and then that will be it for this method, and all we have to do is do some practice, look at some word problems, and we are done. All right, so we're going to multiply the top equation by the starting number in the bottom, and multiply the bottom equation by the opposite of the starting number in the top. Opposite of -5 is +5. So 2 times -5, -10x. 2 times 2y, 4y. What is that? 2 times 32, 64. In the bottom, 5 times 2x is +10x. And as you see, those two are going to cancel. 5 times 3y is 15y. 5 times 10 is 50. Add them together. Those are eliminated. 19y equals 114. Divide everything by 19. If you're not sure, use your calculator. 114 divided by 19, 6. All right, pick one of the equations. I think I'll go with the bottom equation since there's no negatives. So 2x plus 3, instead of 3 times y, we're going to do 3 times 6 equals 10. 2x plus 18 equals 10. Subtract 18. So 2x is negative 8. Divide by 2. X equals negative 4. And there you have it. The point where they would cross is the point negative 4, 6. So again, this method and substitution are both considered algebraic, where if you were to graph them, that would be graphic. I would like you to practice on the next page. There's 4 questions. And then our last lesson will be about modeling, which is just word problems. Not as bad as it sounds. If you have any questions, stop by the Math Lab. I'm happy to help you. Have a great day.